FBI confidential informants. Well, according to a report, some of them are felons who are in fact infiltrating Black Lives Matter. Let me take you to the first video. Here it is.
Special Agent Scott Dahlstrom with Special Agent Byron Mitchell, CHS, for meet with Zebediah Hall.
Thank you. You can hear the sound. Put it in my front pocket, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. See, nice and slender there. Video look good?
Yep.
Yeah. Look handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Not as handsome as that kid. Good looking kid. All right. Good luck. All right. See you guys shortly. Yep, I got it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Put his picture up full mass. Everyone, strap in. It's a hell of a story here. Convicted sex offender Mickey Weindecker traveled around Denver in a silver hearse full of guns, attempting to lure racial justice protesters to commit violence against the police in the summer of 2020. The catch is he was working for the federal government, according to the information present. Reporter Trevor Aronson obtained that video from an anonymous source. You just saw the informant Mickey Weindecker talking with two agents of the FBI, reading to record Black Lives Matter protester Zeb Hall smoking a cigar and hopping in his hearse full of guns. The Intercept reported that Weindecker touted his military history fighting with Iraqi Peshmerga. He showed off his prison tattoos, trying to win trust with Black Lives Matter protesters. This all took place Denver, 2020. Once again, Aronson obtained FBI receipts for Weindecker, who was paid more than $20,000 for infiltrating racial justice protests that summer. Is a direct quote from Trevor. It says, the FBI aggressively pursued racial justice and left-wing activists based on nothing more than First Amendment protected activities. The story of the Bureau's infiltration of racial justice activist groups is particularly relevant now as House Republicans launch a new committee chaired by Representative Jim Jordan, Republican in Ohio, that seems exclusively focused on the FBI's alleged targeting of right-wing groups. Let's put him up. Trevor Aronson reported the story. He has documented abuses and ethics problems in domestic terrorism and sting operations for years. All right, we appreciate his time with us. He has a book, the 2013 book, The Terror Factory, inside the FBI's manufactured war on terror. Documented the FBI disclosed in 2008 it had grown its number of undercover informants to 15,000. During the time of COINTELPRO, that number was significantly less. Aronson spoke to Indisputable directly. He said, and I quote, and so what they do is they'll go to Congress and they say, Congressional Committee, I'm here to report that we arrested 36 terrorists in the last quarter. They were involved in a plot to bomb this building upon this bridge. What they don't say is that all of those cases were, or the majority of those cases were, plots that were engineered by the FBI through sting operations. They never advertised that part of it, right? Okay. Let's put up the document. Infiltrating racial justice protesters is not a new thing for the FBI. Its counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, targeted civil rights leaders in the 1960s. We've got the documentation there. It is a 1964 letter from that program mailed to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to commit suicide. It was orchestrated by our own federal government. Dr. King was threatened with exposure of personal dynamics that may have been embarrassing. This was an ongoing saga as part of multiple documentaries that involved the story of Dr. King. Dr. King, however, did not stand down. The U.S. Senate's Church Committee, determined COINTELPRO, which ended in 1971, was illegal. They utilized illegal tactics, according to the same government. Arison's work notes that congressional oversight of the FBI has lapsed since 9/11/2001. Let's put it up. Indisputable spoke with one of the subjects of the Denver sting operation on Zoom, Mr. Zeb Hall. Okay? Hall described how Mickey Weindecker tried to escalate their protest to violence. Hall says he was suspicious, but when Weindecker outlined a plot to assassinate the Colorado Attorney General, he panicked. When he asked me to kill Phil Weiser, I was too afraid to back out. And I didn't understand completely because I never bought a gun before. He said he had diplomatic immunity. He showed his pictures of him fighting ISIS and these people over there. But I wouldn't have gotten the gun if I wasn't scared, dude. Like I said, it's not every day someone asks you to kill a public official. Hall declined to participate in the plot, but agreed to buy the informant a handgun to deter him from telling other protesters he was a snitch. Hall says he thought Weindecker would turn the protesters against him. When Hall says he tried to approach his congressperson about what happened, he says she told him not to speak with her. It's funny, Zeb Hall says, a week before I got picked up, I shared something. I started talking about the Gretchen Whitmer incident online. And about a week later, after sharing this on a group called Black Atheists and Agnostics United, they arrested me. Hall, who had no prior criminal record, pleaded guilty to a felony of buying a firearm for a felon. He still is on probation for that. He bought a firearm for a guy who was an informant. Isn't that interesting? The FBI National Press Office would not comment. Let's put it up to Indisputable about Arison's reporting. They responded to Indisputable and they said, hey, the FBI does not have a comment. Respectfully, FBI National Press Office. Okay. We are still awaiting a response from the Department of Justice. Here is Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Director of the FBI, Christopher Wray. Buck stops with them. Okay. We deserve answers. We deserve answers. There are legitimate operations, obviously, that law enforcement agencies are engaged in. There are legitimate plots that they have not only uncovered, but they have been able to stop. This sounds completely illegitimate. Answers are needed now. We will continue to follow this story. We do have a significant connection to those who are willing to talk. And there are many members of the FBI, many agents in the FBI who care deeply about this country and the direction it's headed in. They don't want it to go there. All right? All right, Ben, thoughts here.
Well, counterintelligence is the right phrase because it's so counterintelligent to infiltrate your own social justice movements in your own country and try to create narratives that fit what you want to believe about a group of people simply fighting for their rights. I mean, what a shocker that under Donald Trump's administration, there were FBI agents sent in to infiltrate protests and try to make them violent so that Trump could say they're violent. Law and order, get out in those streets and crack down, what, our own guys that are infiltrating with a hearse filled with guns? I mean, yeah, you're going to find guns if you bring the guns. That's one of the basics of how physics work.
Right.
If you're trying to find a stash of guns, if you bring it, boom, you found it. So I really do hope more comes out about this. And like you said, there's legitimate reasons to go undercover of things that might be trying to overthrow parts of our government, might be trying to commit crimes, murder, espionage, not fighting for rights. Let those play out. Let those play out.